Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Southern Wealth. I do hope you're having a very good Friday. If you do enjoy the content, please consider dropping that like and subscribe. We are almost at the 300 subs. As I mentioned, I've created a few playlists, depending on the content that you're interested the most, and it should be a bit more tailor-made for the different kind of audience that I have. Now, I mentioned the other days that we seem poised to actually make all-time highs on the S&P, Nasdaq 100, and Dow Jones over the next few months. And I did mention that actually a bit of a sell-off would be positive because you don't want things to go too vertical, right? And although we seem to be rebounding today, we had a bit of a sell-off yesterday. Of course, here came the channels. That's it. The top is in. We're gonna go to zero. Depression confirmed. Collapse this, collapse that. The usually shebang, right? And one of the things actually that I would like to discuss today is a bit different than what I've discussed before. Is this obsession of central banks with the 2% inflation. Notice how people are desperate in China because they are starting to get to deflation or they are approaching deflation very quickly. Think about it. So prices going down, people get mad. Where did this come from? Why do we think 2% is a good inflation to have? Why not 3? Why not 1? Why not 1.5? Why not deflation? The answer is actually quite simple. The reason why the reason why governments and central banks like inflation is because they don't, and they hate deflation above everything else, is because they don't know how to tax deflation. So it's actually two parts. Is because of the debt and because they don't know how to tax deflation. Now think about it. Let's say you just lost your job. Let's say you're struggling financially and your savings are going down. Wouldn't you be happy if your cost of living was going down? Because at least you lost your job, but at least your cost of living is going down. So you can actually survive a bit better. And think about what capitalism brings. When the US became the wealthiest nation in the world in 100 years, prices got cut in half from the beginning of the century to the end of the century, and everyone was living off better. And think about capitalism, which brought us the technological innovation. All of these are deflationary. What do I mean? Let me give you a very simple example. In the past, in the 80s or in the 90s, a phone was extremely expensive, like $2,000 at the price of before, like when $2,000 was actually a lot of money. It was heavy, cumbersome, and then you paid a fortune for every minute of your phone call. Okay? Terrible. And then with time, now you have a phone who not only allows you to call people, allows you to make video calls with people across the world for free. Now, why do governments hate deflation and central banks? Because they are connected to the government. Because let's say the price or the cost of living is going down, let's say by 50%, and your salary is going down by 25%. This is actually good for you because you actually get less dollars, but those dollars go much further, meaning buy you much more things. The problem is, how does this look in terms of income tax? If the price of things going down, how does it look like in terms of sales tax, or in Europe, VAT? So that's the problem, which is when prices are starting to go down, the government collects less tax revenue. And then they will tell you things like this: oh yeah, no, it's because if you have deflation, the economy collapses because nobody buys anything because they know it's going to be cheaper in the future. That's just a bunch of nonsense. Think about it. You know that the phone that you want to buy, the new phone that just came out, is probably going to be cheaper within 12 months. You still buy it now. Why? Because you want it now. And then the majority of things, actually, you cannot wait 5 years to buy it. You actually need to buy it within a short time frame. So, number one, they don't know how to tax deflation. Number two, who are the largest debtors in the world? Governments. What does that mean in terms of deflation? What is debt? Debt is the promise of more dollars in the future than now. That's it. So if those dollars are gaining value, not only do you need to give more dollars, but those dollars are now more expensive, which is terrible for the governments. You see, the governments want inflation so they can reduce the value of the debt by lowering people's living standards without them noticing that much, and basically repay the debt not in how to say, they have fixed payments, but the money is worth less and less and less and less. So it's in fact very good for who owns money. You see? So that is the reason, the two reasons. And by the way, inflation is terrible for the population because what you want is the things you want to buy, you want them to be cheaper versus your income, right? The way technology works is to make things progressively cheaper, which is the complete antithesis of the government. And so this is part of things that you need to understand. Like everyone gives away that 2% inflation is good. Nobody ever tells you why 2%, not 3 or 1 or even deflation. And the reasons are extremely simple. They don't know how to tax deflation, and being the largest debtors in the world, they need the value of their debt to go down, not up. And who pays for that? We pay for it indirectly by having our cost of living go higher. So in case you were wondering, or in case you've ever thought, why is this inflation supposedly to be so good? It is not. It's just a simple, let's call it misleading instead of call it a straight out lie. So thank you very much, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one. Have a nice evening.